Okay, signs and synchronicities that this reading, this timeless reading is for you when it finds you, is if you have been running into a lot of references to Calgary in Alberta, Canada. So Calgary has been coming up a lot in the last less than 24 hours for me. And even building off of that, especially the Calgary Stampede and Rodeos. So Calgary Stampede, Rodeos, Cowboys and cowboy type imagery, energy. And if you've been running into a lot of horse synchronicities, but horses that are giving like, but specifically like you've either seen horseback riding or you've been seeing horses in like a cowboy context or rodeo context. So I'm also going to allow this to include Western like themes and like Red Dead Redemption as well for my video games folks, my gamers out there, my fellow gamers, shout out. So yay, let's get a unicorn oracle, especially building off of this like horse energy, giving a little bit more of a spiritual upgrade. What is the message for this collective spirit? Abundance. Wow, did you see how the card flew out as soon as I asked the question, the spirit? PS. Abundance. Enjoy the bounty of life. Your supply is unlimited. Blessings are coming to you. Okay, and we're seeing beautiful unicorn with rainbow in the background, rainbow wings, lots of flowers growing at their feet. So beautiful opening message, spirit, about the abundance. But why, give me a little bit more, like why are we connecting with Calgary? Like what's coming through? Okay, they're telling me shuffle one more unicorn and then we're gonna get some tarot. Okay, but baseline, they're saying if you've been seeing a lot of these synchronicities about, and I know so many readers at the time of recording, although this is timeless, a lot of folks are talking about how 2026 is the year of the horse. And we are weeks away at time of recording. We are weeks away from the year of the horse starting because that is associated with the Chinese New Year and Chinese astrology. So let's be mindful of like where we're at depending on the time you're receiving this. Like you may have been like finishing up some of the snake energies and cycles from last year, okay? With all of this forward movement and these horses coming through and now this message of abundance is like, if you've been running into all these rodeo signs and this Calgary Stampede, think about that. A stampede, okay? Now, I'm not an expert in stampedes, okay? And for me, stampede is normally traumatic because I think about when I used to cry and probably how I still would when I think about Mufasa, rest in power, okay? I think about stampedes with that, but essentially stampede, think about it. That is like, damn near, that's like wild forward movement, like mass movement, mass forward movement. And sometimes, often it can be preceded by something popping off, a bit of chaos, something loud, something bold, maybe even something precarious for some. And I'm not trying to manifest that. We're not creating unnecessary fear, none of that. What I'm getting though, especially because the main thing is seeming like forward movement and massive forward movement. So if you've been getting a lot of these signs and synchronicities and you're resonating with this, what I'm getting is that not only likely are you moving forward with increasing momentum towards abundance, or you're about to get to the rodeo and get to the stampede and get with the forward movement, get into the gig. It's coming and it's unfolding. So stay ready so you ain't gotta get ready. And the thing is like, ooh, okay, thank you, Spirit. I don't really do, like the financials and stocks like that in this moment of my life, working our way back. Remember, well, there you go, remember. Have any of y'all ever heard phrases, and pardon me for paraphrasing, but essentially how a lot of people, some of the greatest quote unquote investors, made a lot of like their money or their fortunes during times of chaos. Essentially, when a lot of people were pulling out of the market, they went in the market because they believe like this is going to balance out at some point, it's going to correct itself. So I need to be in the game so that I can get the gains. I'm not going to let the dip or the negative event be mindful of it, adapt, respond to it. Yet that's the thing, respond rather than react. It's like, can you profit off of and can you benefit from a chaotic situation? Now, this is where ethics come into account, because I know when some people hear that, their mind is going to the worst case scenario and something exploitative. And that does happen. And that is not what I'm advocating for. That's not what I'm inviting. However, there is something about being able to see the forest from the trees and not losing our wits when something precarious or something chaotic pops off. Okay, there is a way in which you can either be somebody who's caught up in the stampede and you're just going with the emotions, lost in the sauce or somewhere in the middle, hoping not to get trampled and ideally hoping not to trample. Or you could be the person who is going with the motion, with the movement of the stampede, but you're balancing reacting versus like responding and putting yourself in an advantageous position, because either way, this momentous movement is occurring and unfolding and happening. However, will you be at the forefront leading the charge? Will you maybe be one of the people towards the sides of the periphery, decreasing your chances ideally of getting like run over, but also helping maybe to maintain some boundaries and keep this corralled in a bit? Or are you going to be somebody who's towards the back of the stampede? Not because you're lazy, but it just didn't feel like you needed to be out the head. You didn't want to get lost in the sauce. And you wanted to, by the time you even started like following or jumping in, you wanted to like, essentially you wanted to decrease the chances of you being trampled while still getting in the momentum and into the gig. So there's something about what I'm channeling here is that there may be some things, some either big booms, some precarious actions or events, or things like that may pop off around you and or your environment that is going to ignite a forward moving charge, a stampede. And now it's up to you. Like, are you going to get Mufasa in that stampede, rest in power? Or are you going to leverage this stampede in a way that serves you, in a way that benefits you, and yet do so ethically? That's where the ethics come into account. Okay, Spirit. Ooh, this is flying by. Let's get one more unicorn. Thank you. We have expansion, spread your wings and soar, share your message and shine your light, show the world what you're made of. So we had abundance followed by expansion. And I'm talking about that stampede and that keep coming to forward movement, progress, momentum. You are about to like stampede the runway, slay the runway, moving forward, like get into it, girl. Like remember, Melinda didn't even win Drag Race, like as a crown queen. However, she won a lot of people's hearts and her name is in a lot of people's mouths. She is great entertainment, amazing performer and entertainer. Like, she got her relevance. She has her relevance and she makes a big impact, you know, and sometimes like, you know, in very, very funny and in the past, like an explosive way. However, look what comes from that. Look what came from that. She had a moment where she had like a whole titty attack on camera, but then she came back, you know, she apologized, she took accountability, and people still remember her for that iconic outburst, as well as the fact though that she not only had an iconic outburst, she showed being a mature person who took accountability, gave appropriate apologies, as well as also owned her emotions unapologetically and said, hey, I was going through it. So for some of y'all where maybe you think like you may have had a moment where you had a titty attack or that's going to happen, like obviously take accountability, give apologies where they're due, and then trust following that event. It's even your worst days are contributing to your best days. Even your worst days contribute to your icon status and the icon blessings and rewards that are coming in for you. Okay, we are about to run out of time and I want to get you some tarot. So we are going to do a part 2 for this one. Comment down below if you got these synchronicities already.